writer in need of healing. As all great fighters, they need a meaning. As one more ship has passed, I know you wanted it. One more failed romance, I know you needed it. One more second chance for this evening. The last thing that you need, you said you wanted it, is one more great defeat. You said you needed it. Crawl back to your knees for the weekend. For the weekend. I'll drink to you, you'll drink to me. We'll fly, fly. I'll drink to you, you'll drink to me.
Hello everyone, I'm back in Derbyshire. It's a bit of a grim day unfortunately, but I'm in the town, or just on the edge of the town, of Chesterfield. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk a short section, about 2.5 miles, of the Chesterfield Canal until I get up to Staveley Works, which is an infamous iron and coal company just on the edge of the village of Staveley in Derbyshire. And then what I'm going to do from there is jump on, hopefully, to part of the Great Central Railway's Chesterfield Loop, which basically comes back following the canal path. Not sure how many remains there are of that railway, but we'll see when we get there. Straight away we're into a tunnel. This is a modern tunnel, this. As you can see, it's not the usual canal red brick. There's a big dual carriageway going over the top of that. We're coming up to a little area now which is called Tapton Lock. So there's the Tapton Lock Visitor Centre. I don't think it's open at the minute, which is annoying because I'd love a coffee. This area of the Chesterfield Canal actually reopened in 1990, I think, which is one of the first bits to be restored, but actually loads of it's being restored now. I know the Wobbly Runner on his channel is doing loads and loads of coverage of the reopening and stuff. Large areas of it. I'm just going to cover this little bit. So here we go, there's the canal path. Now I'm going to follow that, but believe it or not, the Great Central Railway basically came across there. Now it's all a road, it's all a dual carriageway that goes right the way into Chesterfield. There's a few remains in there, but this part obviously decimated by the dual carriageway. But I'm hoping the further I get out of the town, there might be a few bits and bobs to see of that. But for now, I'm basically going to take the towpath to the right. Now where those people are walking straight forward, that's pretty much the track bed, so I'll come back that way. Kind of leaving Chesterfield behind now, which is nice because the sound of the cars is getting, slightly less, and the sound of the birds is getting slightly more. Chesterfield Football Club is literally over there. It sits on the edge of the town if you're into football. I'm about to come under the Midland Railway, but I'm about to come under it twice because at this point the Midland Railway forks out into two separate lines. Hopefully I'll get a train, although I'm not going to hold my breath. Here's the two Midland lines. I'm assuming that one came later then, or maybe that's just been replaced, to be fair, with the steel, because this is Midland Railway, that, isn't it? Beautiful. But again, there's bits and bobs going on with the engineering brick as well, so I don't know, because you had these two lines and then you had the Great Central going through it over there as well. Can you hear a train? No. Okay, stop being obsessed with railways, stick with the canal. Look how awesome that looks as it comes round. Amazing engineering. Speaking of engineering, the Chesterfield Canal opened in 1777, and it basically connected the Trent, the River Trent over in Nottinghamshire with Chesterfield. But actually they started work on this canal in 1771. Thought I could hear a train. In 1771. And it was being engineered by the infamous canal builder, James Brindley. Now, if you spent any time in Birmingham and around the Birmingham Canal, you may well have heard of him. Work commenced in 1771, but in 1772, James Brindley died, and he was only like 56. But basically, he'd been out surveying another, possible project up off of the Mersey Canal, and he got caught in a rainstorm, which don't sound like much. You know what I mean? I get caught in rainstorms all the time doing this. But he became ill, and then they found out that he was diabetic, and he kind of went downhill, and so, he died long before this was completed, actually, and he died only 9 days after the Birmingham Canal was completed, which is his most famous work, which is sad, really, that he never got to see this completed. So these are all new developments and stuff on the edge of these new houses, but obviously before they were built, we'd basically be in the middle of nowhere already, which is one of the beautiful things about walking these old railway lines and these old canals, is actually, you are, although they're connecting, industrial heartlands and stuff, the bit in the middle is just beautiful nature. And actually, hang on, so there's a culvert there. Now that will be the Great Central. That will be the Great Central Railway going there. I know I wasn't going to mention it, but I may as well. I'll just keep mentioning it because I'm only going to be distracted by it. It's basically clinging to this canal. I had every idea of just making this section purely about the canal and then the other section purely about the Great Central Railway, but I've got to say, sorry, railways win. But talking of railways winning, the railways, when they came along, were basically the death knell for most canals, to be fair, because they could just do it quicker and they could, take more stuff in less time. But when it came to this canal, it actually survived all the way up. Hello, mate. Right. It survived all the way up to 1961, which is pretty late. It's pretty late for a canal. A lot of them went pretty much as soon as the railway came along. One of the reasons why was that the people that were running the railway were pretty savvy, and so what they did as well is they formed a railway company. So when there was all the grouping of the railways in the 1920s, they got swallowed up into that, which meant they then had more money behind them. Now, we've not been walking for long, and already we've got some buildings on the left there. That countryside bit did not last for very long at all. Actually, this here to the left is the site of Sheepbridge and Brimmington Station, which was the first station outside of Chesterfield on that Great Central Railway's Chesterfield Loop. This opened in 1892, so a fair while after the canal came. You can get off the canal there and go up and explore that, and that's what I'm going to do on the way back. Oh, look at these houses. You can hear the birds going as well. It's lovely. So here's another lock. So that's quite a few locks already. I've not been walking for very long at all, and that's about 3, I think, that I've passed through. And we're back in the countryside. I don't know if you can hear those birds. So as I was saying, passing through 3 locks in a very short space of time, and it's actually not that hilly around here at all. That's one of the main reasons, to be fair, that the canals struggled once the railways came along. Is actually, obviously, you can't go up and downhill because the water will just flow away. So they have to have these locks, which are hella time consuming. And especially in those days, because even now you see families coming up and down canals on barges and stuff, and they'll be there forever, trying to do it. But that's only like a handful of barges, of tourists and stuff. But obviously in those days, you were having coal barges coming out from this area, you were having barges full of textiles and all sorts coming the other way. Limestone comes out from this way, there's clay coming out from this way, brickworks, pipeworks, ironworks, you name it. So they'd all be piled up in a queue behind each other, waiting to get through these locks. And at the same time, 20 yards away, there's a steam engine going, not tonight, Henry, bosh, and they're off. Still on the canal path. That's how close the Great Central Railway is now, right here. And that up there is the active, still active Midland Line. And it just goes to show how close all these modes of transport were to each other. Hello, mate. And the fact that they're basically all heading to the same place, to Staveley Works, which is where we're heading. And we're going to leave that behind just for a little while. So Midland Line, Great Central Line, they go straight through, but we're following, for now, the canal path. So we'll come all around this little loop here. And once again, we're back together again. We've made up, we're friends. Midland Line, Great Central, Canal. Look how thin that is. That is tiny, isn't it? When we get to Staveley Works, I'll level with you, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be faced with. Basically, it's a huge complex, a huge site that's completely decimated. It closed down in the 80s and it's completely gone. Now, up until 2005, from what I could see, there were some platform remains and stuff like that of the work station, which was on that Great Central Line where, literally what it says on the tin, workmen would get on and off the train to get into the complex. But it's actually been taken over now, that area, by HS2, you know, the new high-speed line, and it's actually going to be repurposed as a rail depot for that line. So what that might mean is it's all completely locked off, and you know, security and all that sort of stuff. Now in a second, if I've done my sums right, which is highly unlikely, it's me, there should be a mineral line going across. Now I don't think that's it, because I think it's too thin, but basically it came across off that Great Central Line and into a pit of some description. So when I look at the old maps, that's modern brick, that. When I look at the old maps, it just basically shows the lines going down. So it's some kind of pit, whether it's a clay pit, a sand pit, quarry, I've got no idea. But there should be some remains coming across in a second. No, it'll be here basically, and there's nothing, but there could be. Do you know what I mean? I'm not swimming, but over that side, in those nettles, there could well be some stanchions, because that's basically where it should be. Midgy in my eye. We're not far now from the end of it, basically, before we nip up onto the Great Central. And this is the first barge I've seen the entire time we've been walking down the canal. So I don't know how active this is. I know obviously they're doing loads of work to renovate it, and it's a beautiful walk, so I'm not whinging. And some Great Central Railway infrastructure as well, look at that. There we go. So that's the Great Central Chesterfield Loop as it goes off towards Staveley, where it comes off the Great Central main line, comes all the way round through Chesterfield, and then it joins back to the main line just north of Heath, which is sort of not far from Tibshelf and Pilsley that way. And look at that. But the station was up there somewhere, so I'm going to come round, get up and see what I can't find up there. So there you go again as the railway came across, and that's a nice little touch there, look at that. 1892. So I've come off the canal now, and it's going to be a bit of a blaggit job. So it transpires it's actually a public right of way through Staveley Works. So I've come in, and here we go. Look, there's some embedded track there. I'm not sure what's going off here, because I would have expected track to have gone through that, but that's just a load of sleepers all piled up on top of each other. It's a site that was redeveloped so many times. You know, between 1863 and the 1980s, there were lots of different things going on here. They were running loads of different things. So it's kind of quite confusing, really. I'm just quite happy to just see some track remains, to be fair. So this is more going off there, look. So it's coming out of here. So all the track's been taken away. These little bits still remain, and that goes off in that direction. There we go. Plenty of bits and bobs kicking about. Anyone local or maybe used to work here will hopefully be able to tell me what was what, because it's just the sheer size of it. It's like, good luck working that out. There we go, there's a decent piece of rail there, look at that. I can hear a train in the distance as well on that Midland line. There we So these bits of track basically go right to the edge. I see these have been buried. So I reckon these are old pieces of track. You can see they're basically just stuck a bit of tarmac over the top of them. Which is strange really. You think you'd scrap them and get the money. Or maybe it was a line coming out of here. Could well have been. I mean that's a modern wall, and that's an old blue brick wall. And this is an entrance, look at that. People coming into work. So maybe, just maybe the line went across there, because the track's certainly pointing in that direction. So I'm gonna have a walk back now. Just had a little look around here, seen some, some embedded track and stuff like that, which is great. But I want to try and find that workstation. That's more interesting to me, so I'm going to get up there and have a look for that, while sort of being a bit Hawkeye, looking for more track. Here's the track from the other side. So it goes off in that direction towards that Great Central Railway. So that may well have been a spur off that line. If so, that's old. So how incredible is that in terms of the size? Absolutely enormous. So I'm kind of above that bridge stanchion on the side of the canal now, and I'm going to try and find this Staveley Works Station. So Staveley Works opened as Staveley Iron and Coal Company in 1963. I'm trying to negotiate the best way to not get stung. In 1863. And it ran for years and years, and they basically did everything. It was piping, they owned collieries, obviously ironwork. And in the 1960s it was merged with Stanton Ironworks, which is down just outside Ilkeston. In the last video we did, where we were at New Lount Colliery with Les Explore, don't know if you can remember, if you've actually seen that video, we stood on top of the coal shaft at the pit top there at New Lount, and the manhole cover that sits on top of that actually says Staveley and Stanton, so it would have been made at this site or made at that site in Stanton. Either way, same company.
Fire end, look, Steve, look, Staveley and Staveley Works.
Yeah.
Cap.
And we've already got a railway sleeper. There's two sleepers. We've got red brickwork here, we've got some of that blue engineering brick. So I'm optimistic that I might be able to find some remains of this Staveley Works Station, because the stations on this line went in 1963. The Great Central, as we've covered plenty of Great Central before, had a really short life, which is tragic because it was built to such high spec, and Edward Watkin, the engineer, the pioneer behind it, had so many incredible ideas, including a channel tunnel, building the bridges and everything at in such a way that they were to European specifications, so that they could build that channel tunnel. Everyone laughed at him, obviously in Victorian times. Channel tunnel, what are you on about, son? And obviously now look at it in 2024. If in doubt, start at the beginning. So there's the bridge. There we go. So it's coming across here. Through there, it's going onto the Great Central Main Line, which ran between London and Manchester. The last main line to be built in London, going into the capital. So here we have it. There's the platform. There's the bridge straight across. Obviously the bridge isn't there. And there's more of the platform the other side. So it's coming through here. So there's been quite a lot of earthworks and stuff, people moving stuff about. But there's some more platform here. Here we go. So let's have a look. We've got some coping stones. Look at that. There we go. So look at this. I'm wondering if that's for some kind of underpass, maybe, to get from one side to the other, because they often had the steel, and then well, we'll soon be able to find out if there's although they could have filled it in, but if there's a gap here where you'd have some stairs going down, and then the same the other side. Yeah, here we go. There's a bridge going underneath here, definitely. Because look, oop, nearly went. There you go. So underneath there, it'll be all buried now, obviously. That's where you would have gone under footpath to get underneath from one platform to another. let's see. I'm thinking maybe that's what this big slab of concrete's all about. Maybe they've stuck it over the top. Oh no, here we go. You can see the gap down there. I bet you if you dug that out, that's how you get underneath to get onto the other platform. But there you go, look at this. There's the platform. So let's follow it through. That platform's disappeared now, annoyingly, but this one's still clinging on for dear life. And here we go. So quite a few bits and bobs here. Crossing gate maybe? I'm not sure where that's going, to be fair, because right there is the canal. Okay, so now let's follow that back. Okay, so that's walking the Chesterfield Canal as far as Staveley Works, just through there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk back on the Great Central, which basically follows pretty much the same line as the canal, but it does kind of hop on and off, go off here and there. So I might have to, you know, follow it for a bit, jump back onto the canal path, and then get back on the Great Central and just see what bits and bobs I can find. I've got to walk back anyway because my car's back there. So as I was saying, when I was walking along the canal in this direction, I was trying to find some stanchion or some evidence of this mineral line that went across. So basically where, you know, Optimus Prime stood there, behind him, they're railway cottages. And you could see them on maps marked. So basically where this walkway is here actually, that's where the mineral line went across. So maybe that's why I couldn't find any remains of it. It went across like that, bosh. You see how wide that is? That bird won't shut up. It was a massive girt. Ow! Oh God, I was been attacked by an octopus. Alright mate. It was a load of sidings. Oh mate, that nearly took me down, that one. Normally they just scratch you. That one proper wrestled me like a rugby tackle. I'm leaving the site behind now of Staveley Works. Absolutely enormous place. And I'm just off the track bed as well because it's completely overgrown. But there is a path that comes to the side of it. I can see it just kind of skirts up onto it. So I think that's pretty much what I'm going to have to do. There's the canal again. That's the way I came. And this, I mean, it's been re-landscaped because there's no way, do you know what I mean, a train's one hell of a run up to get up there. Straight through. And obviously this has just been kind of, I guess, maybe taken by a local farmer or something. I'm not entirely sure, but it's, mate, it's muddy. This is squelchylicious, which I doubt is a word, but it is now, and it's been said. That's all Shakespeare did. Well, he just wrote words down to made them up, and everyone went, that sounds clever, that. Whack it in the language. So there you go, squelchylicious. That'll be in the dictionary soon. It's hard to make out where I am in terms of my life. No, it's hard to make out where I am in terms of the track bed, because this squelchylicious path is like kind of weaving around. So here's some coping stones here. So something's gone off. It's been filled in, but you can see, so come round. I've lost count of the amount of times I've been stung and caught in nettles now, so they all sort of like just fade into one. Here you go. Here's the bridge on the Great Central Line. Although, you know, this bit was double track, but when you actually look at it, that looks hella thin. That looks pretty thin to be double track, but it was. So there you go, look at that. Right, let's get on top of that and have a look. The blue brick, which is synonymous with the Great Central Railway, the coping stones are missing. They normally have big chunky ones sat on top of there, which I'm imagining those that are dumped there are. There's the Chesterfield Canal, the nice comfortable footpath we walked on. And here's the track bed that's all been filled in. You see it's all been filled in. So I'm going to walk along the side of it here. What I'm looking out for, as I always am, is signal posts. But when you're looking for a signal post in a row of trees, do you know what I mean? It's it's not really happening most of the time. So that embankment is the Great Central Railway. That there is the canal, and that there is the Midland Line. This embankment's been taken out, but this is the line of it, so I'm going to follow. And if I have to, I can jump back on the canal, but you know, this is all right. It's not too bad, is it? It's not the railway line, annoyingly, but it is following its line. This is more like it. I'm on a nice path now. I think I've got a train. Sounds like a goods train to me, that. Watch me look like a plonker. Oh, that's why it sounded like a goods train. So, it looks like a murder scene, doesn't it? Like from like CSI or something. So I'm guessing they're just doing some structural repairs on that bridge. So you can't get under there. Oh yeah, so 20th of March. So I'm not standing here for 21 days. So I'll cut round. So there you go, you can normally get under it, but not for now. So I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere now. I'm not on the canal, and I'm not on the railway. I've come up next to the canal, to the site of that Sheepbridge and Brimmington station. And I can see a bridge in the distance. I'm going to get on top of that and then look down and see what remains I can find. Goods train in the distance, look. Now that's the station master's house, if ever I've seen one. That. Here we go, Great Central Railway. Blue brick, always. And those coping stones. Again, it looks relatively thin, but it was double track. And the track bed, this has all been filled in. Track bed straight through there across the river. This was the site of Sheepbridge and Brimmington railway station. Right there, there was a good shed there as well. Nothing remains, unfortunately. But like I said earlier, that's definitely a station master's house, that. Straight through there. But again, we can't get through there. So basically, I'm pretty sure that's the last remain of the Great Central Railway on this walk that I'm doing. So I'm going to have to get back on the canal now. So this bridge here kind of lures you in. You look at that and you think, oh, is that what the Great Central went under? But nah, that's the river. That's the River Rother. So the Great Central is actually, you see that little muddy bit there? It's basically that. And it came across here and it went right under the two lines where they fork out. And I'm pretty sure there's no remains of that. I mean, it's pretty overgrown, but from kind of memory from when I came walking down here the other way, I couldn't see any brickwork. I could just see that they kind of just filled it in. Yeah, you can't see anything short of trespassing on a railway line, which, big no-no. I've got no way of confirming if there's any brickwork there, but it's kind of not worth dying for, really. There you go. Getting interrupted by trains all the time, though. There's the blue brick. So that's the Great Central. So obviously there's the Midland Line, there's the Great Central. So that has all been filled in there, but you can see that's the edge of it. So the line would have come through here. So you see that bridge comes over and then it ends, the stonework, but then that becomes blue brick. So that is the Great Central going underneath there, all filled in, but there is that little bit of metal work up there, and there's the stonework, the brickwork. And it came clung alongside and then bosh straight through the dual carriageway. So that was nice to get a little bit of Great Central infrastructure at the end. I thought we were done with the culvert right back there, so that was cool. So that's me, just a little stomp. I started off at Tapton Lock on the 1777 Chesterfield Canal, walked all the way up to basically Staveley Works Station on the Great Central Line, and then I sort of clung to that coming back. How you doing? Nothing. And now I'm pretty much back at Tapton Lock. Loads of remains, loads of things to see. I hope you enjoyed that. As always, thanks for watching. Hello, mate.
Hi, you alright?
And I'll see you next time.